Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars, welcome to another PlayStation review. Today's review is for Blade Runner Enhanced Edition on the PlayStation 4. Now this is a game that I have been really quite highly anticipating. And why would I honestly be highly anticipating a game that was initially released way back in 1997? Well, I remember when this was first released way back in 1997 on the PC, and it's a game that I kind of admired and looked at from afar, because at that time I was only really into like PlayStation 1 gaming, and I've never really had a PC in regards to gaming, so I always really wanted to play this game and never got the opportunity because I'm a fan of the franchise. I love Blade Runner, I love the movies, I love the setting, I love the cyberpunk setting. Everything about it just appeals to me, and I really like point and click adventures as well, so this ticked all the boxes for me, and I'm just really quite excited to finally get my hands on this. So for those of you out there kind of wondering, well, what is this game? Well, as I've mentioned, this is a point and click adventure game, but a very, very old school point and click adventure game. Now, it is been released at $7.99 in the UK. That's how much I paid for it, which, to be fair, for a classic point and click adventure game like this, I think is a little bit of a steal, and I was certainly happy to pay it. Now, it does say that it gives you some, it's called the Enhanced Edition, essentially, but there's no getting away from it that the game looks pretty terrible. I'll give you some of the things that they've said they've enhanced it with. They've uppressed the original videos, they've upped the frame rate from 15 to 60 frames per second. It's a HD display. It's now got subtitles, gamepad support, and texture filtering. I'm not going to pretend I know what all of that means, but you know, all them fancy words, essentially, it still looks pretty rough, this game. There's no getting around it. So if you've got no tolerance for these old school type games, and certainly no tolerance for graphics of this sort, then this certainly probably isn't going to appeal to you. If you like these like retro look games, then this will certainly possibly be one that you will be interested in. So they've obviously tried to tidy it up around the edges and stuff, but they've left like the original charm of the game and things like that. So it is a point and click adventure game, but the game does not hold your hand at all. As soon as you start in the game, it doesn't tell you what to do or how to do it. You've got to figure it out for yourself. So you've got to basically explore like each scene that you're in. When the cursor turns green, it gives you the option to do something, question a subject, pick something up, find a clue, so on and so forth. And if it turns blue, that means that's an area that you can explore, like it might lead down an alleyway or into a different room or a different part of the building. And that's basically it. The idea is to go into each scene, question everybody, look for clues, and then move on. So it's not great, this game, certainly for what I would describe as a newcomer to this genre. Say, for example, if you're a fan of Blade Runner and you want to play this game because of that, but you're not really used to playing point and click adventure games, you're probably going to struggle here, because the game is not particularly intuitive in regards to a tutorial or anything, because there just isn't one. But a little bit of patience and you will pick it up fairly quickly. And you play a character called McCoy, a Blade Runner called McCoy, who is a stark contrast to the Harrison Ford character from the Blade Runner films. He's a little lighter, he's got more of a sense of humour, and you know, he's like the exact opposite, the mirror opposite of the Blade Runner character that Harrison Ford played, which actually suits this game quite nicely, because you don't want it to be too downbeat, and it is quite light in its approach, certainly in regards to that. And you're investigating, you're kind of new to the Blade Runner role, and you're investigating some Nexus 6 models. If you remember from the Blade Runner films, those are the replicants that were displayed in the Blade Runner film, played by Rutger Hauer, and so on and so forth. There are some Nexus 6s on the loose, and it's your job to track them down. So essentially you're going initially to a crime scene where some Animals have been killed, like replicant animals have been killed, and you're investigating that, and then it kind of starts from there and snowballs along. So it's like it's an investigation game, really. Don't go into this game thinking it's going to be like action heavy, because there really is barely any action to speak of in this game. It's basically looking for clues at each scene, questioning people, and then moving on to the next scene and unlocking different parts around Los Angeles for you to travel to. And that's essentially what you're looking for here. There is an option in this game for you to bring your gun out and use the gun if you are in a situation where you have to take down a replicant. It's quite few and far between, and if I'm honest, the shooting and the combat is beyond awful. It's really, really bad. I mean, there is a section early in the game where you can go to the police station and practice on like a target range, and it's just jaw-droppingly bad, the combat, really. The cursor that you move over to like fire at the bad guy if you're being attacked, it just doesn't work most of the time. So yeah, don't go into this thinking you're going to be happy and shooting replicants every 5 or 10 minutes, because it really isn't. This is essentially, like I say, a police investigation game for the most part. Happily, the game is fully voice acted, and I think it is of a really good standard as well. There are even some voices that you will recognise from the original property. So this game really will depend on an awful lot of things, really, for you guys. If you're quite a tolerant gamer, and you don't mind like how a game generally looks, and you're quite nostalgic for either this game if you've played it in the past, or if it's a game that you're certainly interested in trying and you can certainly tolerate the rough around the edges look, there's definitely a fun game here for you to play. I've been really enjoying my time with it. However, I've also found it really quite frustrating as well. I've almost had to relearn how to play a point and click adventure game. The menu system, essentially when you're picking up clues and things like that, if you press like the middle button on your controller, it takes you into like a menu where you can look through the clues that you've picked up. And it is so poorly designed, that UI, in regards to navigating around the clues and the suspects. It's very frustrating. So while this game is certainly frustrating for the most part, it's certainly quite a lot of fun to play as well, and quite a chilled out experience. So if this is the sort of game you're looking for the price point, it's definitely worth checking out, guys. But please, you need to have your eyes open to what you're going into with this game. It isn't a looker. It's very old school, very old fashioned, but if you can tolerate all that, there is quite a fun experience for you to enjoy here. So I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. I think I'm being a little bit generous with that score, but I think the price point and the fact that we are revisiting a classic game from the 90s, certainly I think puts it in good stead in my mind anyway. So I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.